So I like to call tonight the appetizer of MLS team that is involved, CCL, and what that basically mean is that I kind of knew that tonight there was probably going to be just one MLS team that's going to be moving on into the next round because we know in this game it was going to be either the Union and Atlanta is going to be moving on into the next round, and in the end it was the Union, the one that is going to be moving on into the semifinal. And then in this game between Cruz Azul versus Toronto FC, I mean, I knew that it basically is going to take a miracle for Toronto to try to win this game, and unsurprisingly, that miracle did not happen, and we'll get to talk about later how this was kind of a somber game if you are a TFC fan, seeing them kind of slowly realize that they pretty much are going to get eliminated, and that miracle was not going to happen at all. But let's first talk about this game between the Union versus Atlanta United, and this game no doubt was the more exciting game compared to this one. I mean, there was definitely a lot of end-to-end action that we saw in this game, especially in the second half. And you kind of see that in this game that the Union, they didn't just sit back and just absorb as much pressure as possible. I mean, they did give Atlanta a lot of possession, but they did not just decided to just bunker in and look very lethal on the counter attack in this game. And for Atlanta, they kind of had a glimmer of hope in this game, especially them getting a late goal right at the end of the first half, and it looked like maybe they had a chance heading into the second half, but ultimately the Union would prevail, and they are moving on into the next round after they won on aggregate by a final score of 4-1. But overall, this game ends in a 1-1 draw. Now, in the first half, Sergio Santos just dragged one wide as he went through on goal before Bizo hit the side netting, and I thought the Union would definitely off or they definitely are the better side in this game, and this was definitely not a great start for Atlanta. I mean, knowing the fact that they're down 3-0 coming into this game, I was maybe hoping Atlanta would really start to put a lot of pressure and really test out Andre Blake like they did in the last game, but it just never happened. In fact, it's kind of the opposite, where early on, especially in the first half, where the Union really kind of blitzed that Atlanta backline, and it was kind of Guzan the one that had to make a couple of saves to make sure not give up a goal and pretty much put this tie out of reach. I also thought that Atlanta, they were once again getting exposed on the break, which is not a big surprise because they were trying to push forward to trying to get that goal, which means that they leave themselves self-exposed whenever the Union go on the break, and whenever they go for to try to get that crucial goal, or at least get an early goal to maybe spark a comeback into this, they had a lot of problem in terms of that. Like, they just could not string some passes on the final third, and it just kind of looked like early on that this was probably not going to be the night where Atlanta United is going to try to complete this miraculous comeback. They mentioned El Trafico will be on this weekend on Fox, which is probably the 1 millionth time that FS1 has kind of mentioned it during this game, and also the game between the Sounders versus LA Galaxy. Like, that's kind of something I forgot to mention, how they keep mentioning El Trafico every single time, and it was getting getting irritated, the fact that they literally talk about that big game that's coming up. Yes, I know it is a big game during the MLS season, but you don't need to mention it like every 5 minutes as they did in that game between the Sounders and the Galaxy Fox. Although at least I'll say in this game they didn't really mention it a lot. I mean, they did mention it during the first half, and then they kind of mentioned it again a little bit in the second half, and they definitely mentioned it a lot during the halftime show. But we get it, Fox. We know El Trafico is going to be on Saturday, and we get that is supposed to be what is the most exciting game of the season, according to Fox and also the MLS media. Now, in the 44th minute, Fontana did have a chance from 19-yard out, but he dragged his shot wide before Atlanta actually got the opening goal of this game, and it's Sosa that scores from Moreno to make it 1-0 in favor of Atlanta, and that is actually the first career goal for Santiago Sosa. They mentioned how he actually have never got a goal during his time with River Plate, so congratulations to Santiago Sosa getting his first career goal, and he was an absolute monster in this game for Atlanta, and that I think so for Sosa, with the way that he's been been playing for Atlanta ever since he came here. He has just been one of the best signing that Atlanta has got throughout this off season. Now, as soon as Atlanta, of course, got that 1-0 lead, it looked like Philly was going to immediately respond, and it looked like Atlanta was falling into that classic trap of you're always the most vulnerable when you score a goal. But Shibilko wasn't able to punish them that as he flips the lines in the third minute of stoppage time. But we head to halftime with a 1-0 lead in favor of Atlanta, and despite the fact that this goal also kind of came against the run of play because I thought the Union looked like they were more the team that gets the opening goal. There might be some belief that Atlanta could potentially come back from this, and if they can maybe get that second goal, then all of a sudden it is really game on between both of these teams in the CCL quarterfinal second leg affair. Now, in the second half, it was a fast-paced start to the second half, and the game really become end-to-end with both teams having chances. Morini had a chance in the 53rd minute, but his shot from 20 yards out was deflected wide. Then Shibilko also kind of had something similar to that as he's trying to shoot one from short range that was also deflected wide. And with how fast the pace that this game is, I also kind of wrote, you wonder will fatigue start to show for both of these teams in the last 15 minutes, because as entertaining as the way both teams was going up and down on the field, you just kind of had a sense that eventually both teams is going to get tired out, especially the fact that this is, I think, the fourth game that both of these teams have been playing in just the last 10 days, and it's only been 3 days since both of these teams play in league play, so you just feel like this kind of pace that both teams were operating is probably not going to continue. But it turns out that wasn't actually the case. I think, for even as we get late into this game, the pace of this game was still very, very fast, and it was still kind of end-to-end. Now, in the 71st minute, there seems to be kind of a friendly conversation, and I probably should have put quotation mark in the word friendly, because it seemed like Gabriel Heinze and Jim Curtin kind of clashed with each other. The Union was actually about to make a substitution, and as Curtin basically make some last minute instruction to Corey Burke that was subbing in this game, Gabriel Heinze basically came near the touchline and kind of had some choice words to Jim Curtin. I'm not quite sure what exactly they were saying. They were probably definitely not having a conversation of what they're going to do after this game, but I guess maybe it's Gabriel Heinze that is kind of frustrated the fact that the Union was kind of time wasting in this game, which, when you also look at this game, I was also very appreciative that the Union didn't really kind of did that CONCACAF shithousery that they did. I mean, they could have easily done it where players just kind of waste time and just hold on to this 3-1 advantage they have on the aggregate score. But no, I got to give credit to them to keep going forward to try to get a goal in this. And I guess a lot of that has to do with, since this year with the CONCACAF Champions League, if you want to have a chance to host the final, you of course have to get resort in terms of these games, because they even show like a standings during this game of the team in terms of the resort that they have got throughout the round of 16 and also into the quarterfinal. And the Union was coming into this game, I believe, at the top of the table, or actually was it the Columbus Crew that was at the top of the table, and it was very crucial for the Union to maybe at least get a draw out of this game, or even get a win, so that they can even solidify their chances of potentially hosting the final, because they have the best record throughout the knockout stage in CCL. Now, in the 73rd minute, Bedoya struck the post on the header. Atlanta was really pushing in the last 10 minutes to get the 2 goals, but again, it seemed like every time when Atlanta tried to push forward and push push everyone forward to try to get a goal, that there's going to be a lot of space for the Union to basically counter. And I talked about how throughout the first half they were very successful in terms of that. And unsurprisingly, in the 87th minute, they would eventually capitalize on a counterattack opportunity, which let Shibilko scoring from Corey Burke to tie the game up at 1 apiece and make the aggregate score to 4-1. And really that was kind of the final nail in the coffin for Atlanta United. Or I kind of will say that with the way that Atlanta was kind of chasing that second goal, I think as the time winds down, I also kind of feel like it was kind of game, set, and match in that I didn't think Atlanta was going to come back into this because of the way that they just didn't really show any lethal chances, and that, despite how much they were pushing to try to get that second goal to make this game really interesting, I didn't think they really created a lot of chances or even tested Andre Blake when they were pushing forward. Guzan then in the 94th minute robbed Corey Burke, and that was kind of the last action of this game as the Union were looking to try to steal a win in this one. And then after the game, you know how I said earlier that Jim Curran and Gabriel Heinze kind of had some friendly conversation early? Well, they once again kind of had a friendly conversation, although it turns out to be kind of a very heated conversation. And again, I think most likely the reason why Gabriel Heinze was very upset and was having this heated conversation to Jim Curtin is because of how there were times that the Union kind of did waste a little bit of time, and especially going back to this instant where they kind of took their time in terms of making the substitution. But that's what teams are going to do. Like, when you of course are winning and it's like the last 15 minutes of the game, you're going to of course see teams that is going to waste times in this game. But again, I also think that I didn't think the Union did a lot of time wasting in this game, which that's also kind of makes me question why is Gabriel Heinze kind of upset, said the fact that he thinks that the Union might be time wasting when they didn't really do a lot of time wasting in this game. So either way, the shots in this game, 22 shots compared to 9 that Atlanta has. 5 shots on goal compared to 4 that Atlanta has. 9 shots off target compared to 2 that Atlanta has. 8 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that Atlanta has. And possession-wise, Atlanta had 70% possession compared to 30% possession that the Union has. But really, the story of this game was that, in the first half, the Union was very lethal on the counterattack. And then in the second half, after it was kind of an end-to-end action between both of these teams, Atlanta could not find that crucial second goal to make this game a little bit interesting, and ultimately the Union pretty much put this two-legged affair without doubt with a late goal, and now they're moving on into the semifinal of the CONCACAF Champions League, and hopefully they're not going to be the only team that is going to be moving on into the CCL semifinal coming out of MLS. Obviously, we're going to find out tomorrow if that is the case. But one team that will not be joining the Philadelphia Union of moving on into the semifinal of CCL is Toronto FC, and I'm not really going to talk a lot. I'm not going to really kind of go over a lot of things in this game because this was kind of a very anti-climatic game, and especially in the second half. After around the hour mark where I basically wrote Cruz Azul was all over TFC and they were kind of just dominating the game, and kind of it almost felt like it was a training session. And for them now, I just kind of gave up in terms of writing some notes, unless if Cruz Azul does get a goal, or maybe even if TFC can maybe get a goal to make things interesting. Now, early on, at least, I didn't think that was the case where it looked like it was just a training session for Cruz Azul. Where, I thought early on Toronto did try to go for it here, but in the second minute, Bono did have to deny Montero from 19 yards out before Gonzalez had a header that was blocked off the line by one of the Cruz Azul defender. Bono then denied Aguilar in the 12th minute, who had a free header from the corner. Set piece defending, once again an issue for TFC in this game, although I wouldn't say it was as bad as what I saw in the first leg, where it seems like every time when Cruz Azul was delivering a dangerous ball into the box from a set piece or even from the flank area, it always turns out that ball will somehow find one of the Cruz Azul attacker who basically heads it into the back of net. But that could have also been an incident in the 12 minutes where it could have been similar to what we saw in the first leg, where TFC was going to give up a goal early and it came from a set piece. Aquino then missed wide as the flag actually went up as soon as he pushed that shot wide. So even if he scored, the goal of course wouldn't count it. Then De Leon would score just 2 minutes later, but unfortunately the goal was disallowed for offside, and you can clearly see on the replay De Leon was maybe about a foot offside there, and that the game remains 0-0. But I also thought Toronto, they had some good chances going forward, but the problem with that statement is that as much as they have good chances going forward, they aren't able to punish Cruz Azul. And I just kind of fear the fact that, with all these good chances that they are wasting in this game, it's not going to really help their chances to potentially come back into this game. Now, Corona did deny Acuñola's shot on the right side in the 23rd minute before Gonzalez struck the post after he tried to put a looping header that almost went over the head of Corona, the Cruz Azul goalkeeper, but unfortunately, the post basically denied Gonzalez of scoring a good goal and maybe even give a chance for Toronto to come back into this game. But ultimately, in the 27th minute, Cruz Azul would get the opening goal of this game, and this was an absolute golazo from Angulo, who basically hits this volley from about 25 yards out and basically loops this shot over the head of Bono, who I think he kind of came off his lines a little bit too much, and Angulo kind of saw that happen, and he had a good heads up play to just kind of strike that one on the volley and basically puts it over to Bono's head. And I will also say that as much as Bono did kind of came off his lines for a little bit, that was also just an amazing goal, and the technique for Angulo to basically hits that one from about 30 yards out and loop it over the goalkeeper head. That is not a very easy goal to basically score. But either way, that gave Cruz Azul the opening goal in this game. And although that goal didn't really mean a lot because Toronto was going to have to come into this game at least scoring 3 goals, you can also feel like that goal also kind of deflated TFC a little bit, because again, they actually played very well up to that point, but they just could not find their finishing to maybe score a goal and maybe be kickstart a comeback. And you just kind of feel like that goal is just deflated them, knowing the fact that they're probably eventually not going to find a way to come back into this game. And it kind of showed, like, for the last 18 minutes of the first half, Toronto just didn't really look sharp at all going forward after they conceded the first goal. And the same case happened in the second half, where in the second half it was basically all Cruz Azul. Bono denied a chance from Montoya in the near post in the first 40 seconds of the second half. Alvarado then hit the side netting as Cruz Azul was really looking to put this tie away. Then Bono would deny. Actually, it's not Bono. It's actually Romo, the one that is. I don't know why I wrote Bono there twice, but he denied Romo from close range. And again, Cruz Azul was all over TFC, and it was also at this point where I kind of just give up writing any more notes, knowing the fact that there's no way TFC is going to come back into this, and this was just, it was pretty much just a training session for Cruz Azul right now. And if you're a TFC fan, I'm pretty sure they also kind of knew what's going to happen in the last 25 minutes, and that is they're basically just counting the time before they realize that most likely they are going to be eliminated. Well, not most likely, but definitely going to be eliminated in the quarterfinal of this year's CCL edition. But yeah, the final score of this game was 1-0 in favor of Cruz Azul, and the aggregate score is 4-1, just like this game. Shots in this one, 14 shots compared to 6 that Toronto has, 7 shots on goal compared to 4 that Toronto has, 6 shots off target compared to 1 that TFC had. Both teams had 1 shot that was blocked, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that Toronto has in this game. And again, in the beginning of the video, I talked about how this was kind of the appetizer in terms of watching MLS team to see whether or not if they can move on into the next round of CCL, because it was kind of anti-climatic watching this game and knowing the fact that TFC is going to be eliminated. And also, as exciting as this game is, I kind of knew eventually one of these teams is going to move on into the next round, and we're already guaranteed an MLS team that's going to be moving on to next round, because this wasn't all MLS affair, and that the real thrill and the real kind of action of seeing whether or not if MLS team can potentially moving on to CCL is going to be tomorrow, because tomorrow that's when we're going to see both Columbus and Portland to see whether or not if they maybe can win the second leg down in Mexico against a Liga MX opponent to move on into the next round, because coming into both of those games, both of them of course took took a draw against the Liga MX's opponent, and the only way that they of course can move on is to try to get a win there. And I'm gonna be fascinated to see whether or not if Columbus and Portland can do so, and I'm also hoping that at least one of them can of course do it. I mean, to ask both of them to potentially overcome a deficit against the Liga MX's opponent is a little bit out of the stretch, but at the bare minimum, at least one of them can of course move on and join the Philadelphia Union to move on to the next round. And in some way I kind of also want Portland to win their next leg a little bit more than Columbus, because we know if the Timbers does beat Club America, we're going to have another all MLS affair in CCL, and I think this will also be the first time in CCL history where we actually see an all MLS affair happening in the semifinal of the CONCACAF Champions League. And when that happens, you know for sure that there's going to be once again another MLS team that's going to be moving on into the CCL final again for this year. But until then, let me know in the comments below what do you think of both of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.